Hello. Happy Friday. TGIF. And finally, we're here and we're live. It's Tamara Caulder Richardson, Southern Belle Medium, host of the Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience, and Other Phenomena. And this is our Friday. We have it every Friday at 6 to 7 p.m. Tonight, we may run over 7:15 because our guest is hugely in demand. And matter of fact, I was telling her that I was filling out, answering all her emails and her text and her questions. And thank you, Colleen, for sending that. Those are really good questions. And so this is the kind of dialogue I want to create, and I am creating, and it's happening, a spiritual community that's not judgment, that is not we're seekers, right? Seekers speak. That's what the live chat is every Friday. So we can create this dialogue and a community that it's safe and you're not judgment, and we can go on this journey together, and it's genuine and it's raw. One of the things that, being a near-death experiencer myself, I wanted to be able, there are certain things people tell the story and I just hear the same ones all the time, and which is fine, but there's so many people doing that already. I wanted to get in there because I feel like I can violate people's space. Sorry, we'll ask about that later with Ruth, because I'm also a near-death experiencer. And at the same time, I'll hold near-death experiencers in a higher light, more than, I think they're more accountable than other people, because they kind of know things, not always, but they do have a little bit of wisdom. And so, but I also cut them a lot of slack. So I have a lot of love for my fellow brothers and sisters from the light as well. So wanted to thank you. Oh, hey. Oh, yes. Tucker's doing fine. I have to show him to you later. He had an episode the other day. It was my dog, my Shih Tzu. I'm obsessed with. He's got a blue eye and a brown eye. What does that mean between heaven and earth? And he has, God bless him. He's just born like that. He's not a good heart. He's 10 years old. I've had him 3.5 years. Clay and I are obsessed with him. Obsessed. There's a movie out where all these gangsters, it's like a comedy, are trying to bring back the Shih Tzu. And I'm like, what's the big deal? Okay, I've had lots of dogs. Shih Tzus are the bomb. They're like teddy bears. They make you crazy. We have spent thousands of dollars on this dog's medicine, and it's worth it. If someone gave me a 2-week vacation to Hawaii, I wouldn't take it, because I got to be here for my baby. So anyway, so thanks for asking. So if you like this channel, remember to subscribe, tell your friends. This channel's taking off, man. It's growing. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to offer more benefits. YouTube will let me, have more software application to do more cool stuff. So I do have lots of big plans for you guys, because I really want to nourish your spiritual development. And as you grow, I grow. We learn together. So I want to thank you tonight for that. Also, I'm going to be offering a class. Let me mention this, and then we're done with the announcements. Oh, well, we're not. I got 2 announcements. So this one is a class that's coming up December 15th. It's called Recover Your Joy from Losses, Stops, Blocks, and Grief. It's very spiritually transformative. I channeled that class. Y'all don't think? Come on, that's how I roll with all of it. I connect and give you what I'm given. So this will allow you to connect to God, to spirit, to find out where your anxieties are. And I know y'all got a lot of them. You may not have think it's grief, like, oh, I didn't have anyone die. It could be grief because your life is not going well and you're sad about it, or you're frustrated. This class is going to knock it out of the ballpark. And it's 6 weeks. Is super cheap, super, super, super cheap, because that's how much I love you. It's $129. It should be $499. It's 6 weeks. You get 2 months of me one-on-one. And with the class, you get a free 90-minute medium demonstration. That's how much I love you. So I'll put the link below, but it is on Eventbrite. I am going to do a special class. It should roll out a class at little teachings, kind of preempt the class, give you a little taste there that I'm going to do on Recover from Your Joy and Losses. I'm going to give you a little sample that I'm going to roll out. It'll probably be out tomorrow. So just check and see. So keeping that in mind, and also sign up on my website, southernbellemedium.com, for the newsletter, because let me know if you want a free reading, because we're going to start doing live readings on the show, because I want to bring excellence and mediumship. Yeah, I was born with this gift. Spirit and God picked me out, but I trained for it for 8 years. I didn't go with just the gift. I thought, if I'm going to be held up on international standards, I better get it right. And if I suck, I need to go home. But I thought, if God wants me to do this, it'll all work out. And I want you to see the level of quality of professional evidential mediumship. So with all that said, announcements done. Thank you for being here. I'm going to bring on your favorite person that I've been spending the last 2 hours responding back her questions. My friend and fellow near-death experiencer, Ruth Secreto. Did I say your name right? I'm saying it so wrong, aren't I? Your last name.
It's not real wrong, just a little.
Oh, God, why did you tell me that?
Hey, it's progress, not perfection. But we say Secreto.
Secreto. Oh, okay. So it's Italian, right?
That is correct.
So a Secreto.
Right.
Now, see, I got it. If I think of the Italian accent, Secreto, then I got it.
There you got it.
Well, some people call me Tamara, but it's the emphasis on, like, okay, secret. My childhood name is Tammy. My middle name is May. Tammy May. We don't use that name anymore. It's Tam Ra, and I get all sorts of stuff, and I get it, but it's just a long version of Tammy. But Tammy sounds like somebody stupid, and I'm not. Just saying. Sorry to all the Tammys. Sorry to all the Tammys, because I'm a Tammy too. Sorry. And I like my grown-up name better. So we'll use that. Well, look, you've gotten a lot of response from people, and everybody's very excited about tonight. $21 a week. I know, to get me. I think I'm worth $20, $21 a week. That's what someone said in the chat. Okay, so I guess I should be showing my chat stuff. That's calling. Yeah, it is, because it's really hands-on. I wanted an entry point. It was very inexpensive. Yeah, I didn't actually do the math, how much per week, but I get the prices channeled too. I do. And when I first started out, just for people that have intuitive gifts, when I started out, for years, I would give free readings to people, but I would pretend it's just good advice. And I wouldn't tell them what I did, because I was sort of chicken. And then even when I got training, or as I was going through my training, I did a lot of free readings for years, because I wanted to be sure that I was minimum 80% accurate every time to 90. 95, but we're human, we're not perfect. And I think the biggest thing, and we'll talk about some of the side effects tonight, Ruth, but I think the biggest thing is integrity. And that is this: when you hear the word, if I get spirit tells me egg, and maybe I hear egg, and then they show me a film strip of an egg, like maybe in someone's hand, like a little birdie egg, and then I get the feeling of what it feels like. And then I hear tweet, tweet, tweet. What I do is I go, why the hell are you telling me that? That's what I'm when you don't hear me talk, that's what why are you telling me this? I'm like, really? And then they'll go, what? Okay. And they'll start laughing sometimes. I'm like, why are you telling me this? So and then I'll go, I talk to them. I go, is it a memory? Is it something that just happened? Why are you showing me this? And then they'll reveal it, and they will tell me, oh gosh, there was a time so-and-so, and that little bird, we raised it, but it didn't last 2 weeks and it died. So it's so sweet. And the bird's with me now. So then I would tell the person that. So I keep pushing spirit. I don't know. Y'all don't see that part, but I push it. I just don't say what they tell me. I argue with them. Because if you get it wrong, people are pissed off at you, especially when they pay. They do. They want you to be, So to me, seeing professionals work will raise the standards of all levels, including me. So I'm going to have people, a lot of UK mediums on here too, because strangely enough, and I'm not anything. I'm not affiliated with any church or any religion or anything. I'm just Team God, but a lot of the training happens generally in spiritualist churches. And I love my guest, Asta, that was talking about, she came in and covered her face up with her hair, that she went into that because she was a Baptist. But they do have a very much so a criteria of excellence. So you'll be seeing that too. So let's talk about the after effects. I'm going to get you some questions, Ruth. Look, sorry for talking a lot. I have a Red Bull here. I'm going to lose so much weight. It's sugar-free, but still. I'm going to lose so much weight doing this channel. Do you know there are days I never eat? I'm working around the clock till 2 a.m. I'm busting my butt for you guys, because I have a quality standard. I owned an ad agency 27 years, so I know what good is. Okay.
Answer them.
Now, are you on the chat too right now? Because they're talking to you. You can also chat.
I see a chat, but I don't
They
see
said, "Hey,
any.
Ruth." They said, "Hey, Ruth. Good job." Okay,
I'm
let me
going to
see
write
here.
hi
I'm
and
going to
see if
start
any.
showing. Yes, Shell, wisdom is important. We're going to talk about wisdom, but we're going to have fun. So,
I cannot see the private chat.
okay, it's on there. You have to log in. Remember that whole Google thing? See what they make. YouTube makes you log in with Google, and yeah.
I may have to use you and give the
That's
answers
fine.
because
It's totally fine.
if I hit something, Tamara, I could lose everybody, and I don't want it. I see it up on the screen. Like the spirits are always giving. I want to say your name right because I say Tamara, and you said
no, Tamara. You say it right.
oh, Tamara. Okay, a challenge. Let's say a prayer for the spirits to be helpful tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
because I have technical problems, but it's
Well,
not just me. It's Ruth too.
There's two of us here, Tamara, that have been on the other side, and we
Yeah.
messed technology up, right? So,
That's right.
One of the things I hope your audience understands is that we don't mean to. It's just our energy is different. So,
Yeah, explain that more. It happens with a lot of near-death experience with shopping batteries and this and that. Yvonne Sneeden was, she's going to be speaking next week, who also had a Jesus experience. I cannot wait to put you two together because you're going to love each other. You're both high energy, although she's French, but high energy. But we talked about that so much so I'm going to do a separate video just on that. But talk about some of that energy and electrical stuff.
I thought it was really funny when your husband was trying to do the sound check. I thought, I was thinking quietly, okay, if he'll just move aside, our two energies can calm down together, yours and mine, and it'll come out. And sure enough, it worked. And I find it frustrating that unless you've experienced it, you can't explain this to somebody. They can look at you and go, oh, yeah, right, that's really happening. But it is really, really true. I can't even tell you how many times, I bought my watch battery and I don't wear it any longer. I now have one of the iPhone watches, but they go dead.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's sitting over on the side.
Good for you. Do you know what I did? I got a Fitbit. It sort of sucks. I spent this was I don't know, a year and a half ago. I spent like $259. I thought I would be all like techie. This is not as bad as the Newton I bought years ago. My husband never let me forget that. That was like a bomb. But it doesn't do the stuff that the Apple Watch does. It's like, my sister talks to hers like James Bond, and it doesn't work because she uses it for her business. But I don't wear watches because I have actually a bowl full of watches because I got tired of changing the battery, and I have clocks all around the house. And my mom would always kid and go, "Oh, quit buying those dollar store batteries." But it wasn't that.
No, absolutely not. I went and had a CPAP recently, for sleep apnea, and she couldn't get the machine to work. I mean, it happens all the time. I can be at a register and I'll say, "Oh, just let me walk over here to the side a minute," and I'll walk over to the side, and the register start working. So it's like sometimes I just get so fed up with them trying to fix it. I'll say, I had an experience in 81. I died during surgery and I came back and I'm really different now. My energy is different. Oh, yeah. I mean, I usually introduce, if I want to share a phenomena of some sort that I've had so that I don't feel, quote, crazy, or they don't think I'm a lunatic, I'll introduce it that way. Then it's surprising how the door opens with that, because they kind of look at you and right away they want to know, really, what happened? Well, don't ask me what happened because I'm going to tell you. I've seen Jesus, and then they want to back off like, oh, here she goes.
We got a live one here. We got a live one.
You and I talked on the show the other day about we both started looking into our own research about our experience, and through the research, and IONS was one of them. But, I've reached out to a lot of other information that's out there. And there's a gentleman that's an author, and his name is Anthony Peake. And he's not a near-death experiencer, but what I've really enjoyed about Anthony's work is that he really begins to look at what is happening in our brain and in our bodies. And I like that aspect because at the bottom line, he does give an awful lot of good neuroscience on how the light can happen, how the darkness can happen, how temporal lobe epilepsy causes certain, and he doesn't call them hallucinations. So there's some physical things that really can be happening. But the thing that I love the most is he says, the one thing we can't explain, because he's using a lot of science, a lot of, he's using a lot of science, that we can't explain the being of light. Okay. And then then he also gets into, how, and we know this is happening in our science, that we're studying consciousness outside of the brain. And then, people don't want to believe that, but if you really get into the research of it, near-death experiencers, we know it because it was our consciousness, or we can call it our soul, won't matter, is what observed. You observed, I observed. We're taken to, the consciousness shifts to a different place. The veridical evidence, so many near-deathers are able to tell, just like, I shared how I knew it was the anesthesia, but they wouldn't tell me it was that. And then later, 2 years later, I get it verified that, I have malignant hypothermia, that I'm allergic to it. It'll kill me.
Crazy. I have never heard that.
And so how would I have known that had I not observed the operating room during the surgery? And you can't observe your surgery, So,
well, yeah, it's pretty common with
body. Of course, out of the body, spirit does. And that brings it to kind of like when you're talking about mediumship. From the Dark Ages, it was if anybody saw something, they were burned at the stake. They were labeled a witch. And yet the prophet,
they did it.
and think about it though, even, it was okay if you were called a prophet and you could see, and it was okay if you had what they called a gift within their regulations. But you see, the universe doesn't have any limitations. Of course, we're living in the third dimension. Ours has limitations. It's kind of what you sow, you're going to reap, and you may not reap it at the moment, but it's going to come back to you sooner or later. But when we're expanded, this is at least how it was for me. I knew everything. It's how do you explain that you can understand everything that's going on? And then yet when you come back into your body, or come back into, I'll call it the ego conscious awareness, you don't remember it. You can remember pieces of it. So, yeah.
That's
when I was on the ceiling, I'm trying to get the attention of those doctors because I want to get in the body. So why is it that I can see and hear them when I'm out of body, but yet people want to say, well, you can't be hearing or seeing anybody that's dead. Well, I was dead and I was seen, so why can't others who have passed still be communicating? Of course they're communicating. They've just shed the body. They haven't shed their energy, right? They haven't shed the energy of who they are.
Right. Their soul, their being, their essence, their true self.
Right. Exactly.
Colleen does have a question here. She's got quite a few very good questions, really. I'm doing it in a sequence, so you guys be patient of me taking the questions. Put your questions here. Seriously. Here's the thing. People that have gone to the light, right? And I'm not okay. Let me give a disclaimer. I'm gonna say this and back me up. Not all near-death experiencers come back sane. Okay, I'm just gonna say, and then they're like a little light bulb. They might have been a little nutty beforehand, and it makes them a little bit more crazy. So don't just automatically assume that. But the ones that you'll hear it by the way they talk, the love, the unity, Jesus, the divine, you can hear the way they talk. Now, you got to still use discernment. Maybe they're just giving you a bunch of fluff, but after a while, you'll see it's their essence of who they are, and you'll be able to know the difference. So
and Tamara, also, my disclaimer is, of course, I'm sharing my opinion and my experiences. You can take what you like from what you hear from me, and if you don't like it, discard it. That's okay. It doesn't matter.
Everything. I like everything.
Yeah, I'm not trying to write a thesis here. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm also sharing my belief, and it's real true. When I died and came back, I was still Ruth. I still had the trauma of childhood that had never been dealt with and needed dealt with. That was part of what I was going to have to do in order to make more sense out of my life experience. There was an awful lot of things that I really, I called it the karma. I needed to clean it up. And I went to a counselor for, this stuff that was really troubling me. And
I did
that's
too.
again,
I did
we
too.
we talked about the spiritual bypass. If
Mhm.
you're living a human experience, you're having emotional problems or psychological problems. Just because you died and came back doesn't mean they're gone. These are the things to come back and begin to work on. Find somebody to help you. That's kind of work I do. I try to help people who are kind of stuck in the earth experience and then try to bring the two together so they can live a decent life.
I agree. And you might even see different people do that. Like I'm trying to do it, you're trying to do it in your way. And it's funny, it's the same thing. It was funny because Jesus told me my new lesson and starting in the fall, and it just feels like a lesson because he told me, what was it, last spring, I'm your only teacher now. That's what he told me. He said no others. I was like, no problem. And so, but in the fall, he said, I want to talk about judgment and labeling and humility. And then the other night I told Ruth, he woke me up and gave me First Corinthians. And it tells us basically how he wants us to act: love, humility, kindness, not being arrogant, boastful of your achievements. That's different than saying, look, I worked really hard where I am and had to work for it. And I feel very blessed and I'm very appreciative. That's different than going, I'm this and that. And I'm so-and-so, I'm loaded and I've got this and I've got yachts. And because you don't take that with you. But a lot of people are doing the same thing. Like Ruth is doing it through, and I'm going to have you speak on this, but through the look, not that you're going to stay there, but with the addiction, I'm doing it. It's funny. I compared notes with Peter Panagore, who has the not church. He's so sweet and he's very educated. He's I'm an ordained Christian minister. He's like he's got a bigger title than me and he went to Harvard. So he's really trained, so,
I love his channel.
Sweet.
I listen to his also.
Yeah. He's a very cool guy, and he's been on here, and I'm sure I'll be back again. But a lovely person. But what I was saying, we got to chatting. I don't know, before or after we did our interview, and he was talking about. We started talking. Well, when I first saw his not church, I went, "Oh, what is that?" He's really like talking disparagingly about church or whatever, because I didn't know him at first. And that's before I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He just told me, be careful with your judgment. He said, he told me, be careful with your judgment of these people. He said, they're doing the same thing you are. So what are you talking about? Sure enough, we talk. He believes in the mystic Jesus like me. I do too. But he's getting the people that like have been screwed over by churches or the dogma or weren't very nice to them, or they're like, that didn't take me anywhere, or whatever the issues, like, they didn't like, or people that are hypocrites. They're like, oh, I saw the hypocritical Christians, so it turned them off. I'm kind of getting, not saying I'm for everybody, but I'm for the person that doesn't really fit in, that is a true seeker. Maybe they have intuitive abilities, maybe not. Maybe they want them. I don't know. But and then also the people that have gone traditionally to the church, the Baptist church, the Presbyterian, and they want to know more, but they're kind of afraid to step their toe into the pool. And I'm like, look, girl, I've been there. I've been on the Pentecostal stuff. I understand that, but you can't limit or label yourself. So I'm kind of getting the people that were there that are looking. He's getting the ones that don't want to look. And we went, oh my God, we're doing the same thing, but opposite. And we laughed so hard. And so what I'm saying is everybody, the NDers that come back generally have this sense of wanting to help and the sense of purpose, not always, but most, I'd say 95%. And so we all do it in our own little way. Trisha Barker does it in her little way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the beauty of our individuality, because, I really didn't know what I wanted to focus on, but I'm seeing someone talk about a spiritual awakening. Absolutely.
Yeah, answer that. This is
Uh,
Colleen. Talk to her. She's been excited you're coming
yeah,
on. She is
Colleen.
so cool. She's a client and friend. She's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's like when I was led into, and she's talking about her first meeting she went to, and I shared that I had no, the first part of me wanted to reject that. And yet, that later, and it's probably within 5 years, but it's not until the year 2000 that I recognized, oh my Lord, that's what my message of coming back to pay the bills was all about, having to work on my own problems in my own life. And, for me, it was just the path that was laid out for me was the 12-step path. And I absolutely love it because of the spirituality in it. And it's like when I started, I was closed-minded. I really, I had a lot of staunch religious beliefs. And then I had to begin to examine those and look and say, whose belief is this? Is this their belief or is it my belief? And when I could see that, well, that, like I talked about the subservient wife, that didn't fit with me. Now, that may have been a rule for them, but it wasn't, it no longer worked for me. So it was okay to set a boundary. And, you talked about sometimes we got to move away from certain friends. Well, we have to set a boundary because we're on a certain path. And the path that's laid before us sometimes may take I still do the 12-step, but I do a lot of other things also. I really do. What spirit leads is what I do, Tamara.
What girl? Who you talking to?
I
You're
know.
you're my sister. Are you kidding? Michelle's
I
my
know.
sister too, and all. Okay, but look, I do the same thing. It used to be with my advertising agency. I would follow exactly what the plans and da da da. Now I sit and I wait. I have programming and really cool stuff for y'all, and then I get feedback. I've had to change and move people, so y'all don't be upset when I move you because I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm getting information. And like there's this fellow January, I want to do astrology, but I didn't want to do a normal whatever. And I was like, astrology or maybe angel person. So I saw this person, they might be listening. And I was like, he wrote me out of the blue on, not really, not because Facebook dropped me, but I really like LinkedIn because it's very professional. And I saw them on there and they're like a real Native American Indian. And I already knew him. He wrote me out of the blue. I was like, all right, that's confirmation. Cool. This guy's cool. Because he's a real freaking like Indian. Of course, I have Cherokee in me. So, but he looks really full-blooded. So I thought that would be fascinating. Astrology with shamanism and all that. Because we're learning, right? We're all learning. God is in all things. I want to go back. I'm looking for that question from Colleen about friends. Because she did ask me about friends, and that came up, like, how do you fire a friend? If you want to start talking, I'll find the thing and put it up.
Yeah, and Tamara, I wanted to ask you, is there a way that I can see what they're asking? Because I can't see
Can you see
anything.
it on the screen?
I see you. I can see it says
Yeah.
seeking
Well,
heaven.
I know I got to turn it. I got to change it. It's not automatic. I do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got to find that question, but you just keep on talking.
And
Talk
so
about how you can fire a friend.
thanks for the question. I literally, I have seen her name on another program at the not church, and
Yeah.
my spirit, and I'm saying this to her, Colleen, is it?
She's wonderful. Yes.
Okay. I had a sense, just her name and seeing her face, and
Okay.
again, this is the intuitiveness that sometimes we come back with, that she was I call it a step sister. People who have worked the steps, I refer to them as my stepsisters.
Oh, you're kidding. How clever and
Yeah.
cute.
So I
Oh,
thought if one day I could get to talk to her, we'd have so many cool things to really talk about, because the
wow.
spirituality, and I'm serious about this, Tamara, the spirituality, when you can meet a person who has utilized the principles that are in the 12 steps, like the principle of honesty. And there's a big thing about, we were talking about changing our character the other night when we were talking. I have to identify that character flaw or defect in me first. And there's a way of doing that. And that's what I help people with. We look at it on a piece of paper and we see which is the one that's causing me the most problem. And mine was, I was, man, I was really judgmental. It was like, I really thought that, Jesus would step aside. I should run the world because I knew what everybody needed, right?
Right.
I don't know nothing, and when I realized, oh boy, that's not my job, I can let go of that. But this changed character, because if we're going to become spiritual or Christ-like, depending on whose ever belief system they're following, then you have to practice the opposite of the negative you've been doing. If you've been judging people, cut them some slack and use some acceptance of them. Accept they're right where they need to be at the moment, and when it's time, they're going to change. But I couldn't do that because I wanted to, I wanted to straighten them out. And of course, then later becoming a counselor, I really learned the tools of not to open my mouth, in the wrong way. But
well, so let's go back.
It's so deep, isn't it? Our spirituality is so deep, and there's in the 11th step prayer, 11th step in the 12 steps, and I don't mean to just be talking about them, but it is my passion. It's one of my passions. It said, sought through prayer and meditation. And we talk about prayer and meditation all the time as spiritual people. And the basic, sought. What is sought? Well, I was seeking God at one time, right? Now I understand God. Well, to the best of my ability, but he's always revealing new things to me. But through prayer. So what's prayer? Prayer is just asking. What's meditation? It's real simple. It's be quiet and listen. Right? So if I'm seeking through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God, that means I better shut that news feed that's going on in my brain. I've got to quiet it. We call it getting into the silence, right? In meditation. So it's a discipline that if I don't use the discipline of prayer and meditation on a daily basis, and maybe even throughout the day, I'm running the show, and I don't run the show very well. Hello.
But it takes a while to merge. I am merged with, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am now merged. I'm blended with God and Christ all the time. It's a oneness always. So, it took me a while to actually come out to, this is so funny. When I did my first medium demonstration, I said, hi, I'm Tamara. And then I began, and then afterwards I had 2 hours of talking to. They said, look, for you to talk about heaven and heaven is real, people might want to know something about you. I'm like, I don't matter. And they're like, actually, you do matter to us, because if not, we can't do it kind of without you. We need a human body. You seem to really want to help. You need to, so we matter individually, but it's merging our soul and our, personality is one thing. How you do it with your quiet, right, where you're reverent. That's why people are attracted to different people. For some reason, people are attracted to me, I guess because I'm outspoken, but I would not say I'm uptight and buttoned up or what have you. But it takes all types. I want to talk about real quick about firing friends, and then there's something I want to go to very quick.
I see her question, and one of the.
I want to stay on point because we don't have much time, and I got a special, I guess, surprise for you. So we need to make it a little bit more concise. Why would you fire a friend?
I would fire, and I don't really fire them.
And are they a friend?
I have definitely moved in a different direction than they have. So what I can say is, I really have appreciated the time we've shared together, but your views now are different than mine. And I still love you and I want to pray for you, but I'm following another pathway right now. And so you want to touch base with me off and on, that'd be beautiful. And I'm there for you. However, I need to go this other path right now. And it used to be that was difficult to do because I didn't have enough and I see Laura saying self-love is everything. Because until I did know who I was and know that it was okay when it was time to move on. And I refer to friends like the tide of the ocean. The water comes in, right? And it stays for a little while. So sometimes a friend's going to come in and they're going to stay for a little while, but they may go back out into the ocean because there's other places for them to be. So some friends come in and they move out. And when I learned to not be offended that if someone I really cared about had moved out, it wasn't about me. It's about they're back in the ocean where they need to be.
Well, can I make a comment on that? And I think that's a beautiful analogy because people need visuals. I need visuals. I need pictures drawn. But to me, the reason that I say fire friends, are they really friends? If the way I look at it, doesn't matter who they are, even if it's your family. I hate to say that, but if someone comes against you and your basic person who you are, they're negative. When you they did well, they're like, why'd that happen? And they're always negative. They're not supportive. It's very important for us to move forward in our spirituality to allow those people to go on their journey, but just not with you.
Right.
And you said, you don't hate them. You don't get it to the point where they're just really a full on attacking you. And you know what? How do you do that? I try to do it in a gracious way that I say, well, I'm busy, blah, 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 because I know this doesn't resonate. My energy and their energy, they may not want to grow, but your soul needs to. So we must allow people, it's not a bad thing, to do their thing. We do our thing. Sometimes people we may believe a bad decision, but it's still their journey. But the good news is when you clean up those people, first you got to know you and clean up those people, like, God bless them, but send them on their way. And you may be lonely for a little bit, but guess what? You will find your tribe and you will find your true family and you will find sisterhood, brotherhood. You will find, and I don't mean that politically. I don't even know what that means, but I'm talking about love, family, your soul family. And so with that, new people come in that lift you up. So with that said, I have a special guest for us tonight for you. Oh my God. It's Yvonne Sneeden. She's on next week. And she also experienced Jesus too. And I've been bragging about both of you to each other and how you're so much alike. So Yvonne, Ruth, Yvonne.
Ruth, it's a pleasure to meet you, Ruth. It's a pleasure. My second name is Ruth.
Go figure, right? How beautiful. Actually, I just said, I am here, Yvonne. It came up on the side. So, Yvonne, it's wonderful to meet you. And you're a near-death experiencer also?
Yes, absolutely. I had 2 near-death experiences, and one was all about Jesus.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it was really interesting because maybe you also, Yvonne, I had other spiritual experiences before my near death. I remember I was 5 years old and I needed to learn to tie my shoes. And, everybody kept trying to help me, but I couldn't get the loops right. And I tell this in the story sometimes when I share my near death that these beautiful ethereal hands came in front of me and took my hands and began showing me over and over how to tie my shoestrings. And the next morning I went out and I ran out to tell my mom, oh, Mom, the hands came, the glowing hands. I called them the glow hands because I was only 5. And I said, they taught me how to tie my shoes. And I sat down to show her. And, she kind of blew it off. She was like, yeah, that's good. And, go play. But that was something that it was like I had begun to really see spirit very, very young. And then I've had that type of stuff. And I know my father was gifted with this gift. I believe a grandmother was. I know both of my children have it. They use it in different ways. But, I'd like to ask you, Yvonne, is someone in your family, are they also gifted with sight? I call it the gift of sight.
Yeah, my sister, since she was 12 years old, actually, we were in a family reunion and she was on my dad's laps. And my grandfather looked at her and telepathically told her, are you not a little bit too old to be on your dad's lap? And that was the beginning of her having sight. When I was a child, we grew up in a all-girl boarding school, and when I was a child, I would have those dreams that I would be with children, beings of light, and I would be out of my body. We would play all the time together, and it was just fantastic. And I would know, okay, I have to go back in my body because it's the morning. So yeah, it's true. There were those experiences.
And you're a healer. Because she was growing my leg when she came to my house. She's like, hey, I have this thing. I can just grow legs and things and work on bones. She says, and my hip, she goes, Tamara, you need a little longer. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty screwed up. I'm like,
That's
40% off
the
in the bottom.
Do you like sit down in front of them and
Yeah.
put the bottom of their feet together? I do the same thing.
No way.
This was back in probably about 22 years old or 23, and when I shared that I had, some people call it the Kundalini awakening, or I called it the Holy Spirit infilling. That's when the gift of healing started in me, and I was like, that was one of the things that happened. I would get this intuitive thing that because they weren't walking right,
yes.
and I would get, I need to get them to sit down and pray with their feet. And when I did that and they sat down, there was one foot shorter than the other, and I'd begin to just say, and I would say this, I'd say, in the name of Jesus, foot come forth.
That's simple.
I did too.
Simple. Yeah, but you kept, but Yvonne, you kept going more and more and more power and more. We were getting high. I was like, I don't know if it's working, but I'm getting high.
I could feel the power of spirit coming through my hands, and you would just watch it happen. And I would like go home thinking, what in the heck just happened, because it was the things I was young, and I didn't have any training on it. I only went by what spirit would teach me to do, and that's amazing, isn't it? Because Tamara and I were talking on the show about how because when Jesus said, he's gone to be with the Father, greater things will you do than I did. Mm-hmm. Well, we need to be in the business of still doing this and stop being, it's like fear the face of God versus fear the face of man. And that fear didn't, in the scriptures, did not mean scared fear. It means awe.
Standing in the power, of God in Christ.
It's all positive. It's all positive. And I was explaining yesterday to Tamara, when I was in Europe, because I'm from Europe, I'm French. I was in the ministry for a long time and traveled to Scotland and to different countries. And I always felt that it was all about Jesus' love, that it was love, compassion, healing, positive. And I always felt sorry that so many of us back then were in that guilt feeling of Jesus and that fear-based Jesus. But it's not who he is at all. He's absolutely 1,000,000 time love. And because I think everyone is trying to do their best, when they haven't been in immediate contact with Jesus, everybody's trying to do their best, thinking that, that's what I have to do to please God. And then they projected it in a human form, what we need to do to human to actually please them. And it's always based on authority, a negative authority and fear, but that's not what heaven is about. It's the opposite. And
well, I wanted to mention, hold on just a minute. Let me because we have a lot talking, so I'm going to have to mute and unmute because it gets too much. It's got 3 women, and we have top 15 minutes we're going over, so I got to kind of like,
time, Ruth, I just wanted to say, I'm happy to meet you. I hope we have more time together to share.
Where do you live now?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Where do you live, Yvonne? Where are you at?
North Carolina. Raleigh. Yes.
All right.
Where do you live?
I'm Arizona.
Arizona, so it's a long way, but much love to you, Ruth. And
much love. Great meeting.